This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, the historical massacre of 1.5 million Armenians at the hands of Turkish forces. Pope Francis on Sunday made headlines once more, this time for using the term Armenian Genocide, as he referenced a 2001 declaration by the earlier Pope John Paul II.
In the past century, our human family has lived through 3 massive and unprecedented tragedies.
Tragedie inaudite. La prima, quella.
The first, which is widely considered the first genocide of the 20th century, struck your own Armenian people.
Del XX secolo. Essa ha colpito il vostro popolo armeno.
The use of the term genocide itself is highly controversial for Turkey, which immediately denounced the Pope's words, accusing him of fomenting, quote, hatred and animosity and making, quote, unfounded allegations. Turkey recalled its ambassador to the Vatican in retaliation. Naming the 1915 mass killing as a genocide has been a deeply emotional issue for the Armenian community, both inside Armenia and in the diaspora. In 2008, candidate Barack Obama publicly said that he would acknowledge the Armenian genocide as president. So far, he's refused to do so. Even UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, who has often been unafraid to speak out on injustice, has skirted around using the G word. Still, about 20 countries and 43 U.S. states have formally recognized the genocide. Joining me in studio today is Salpi Gazarian. She is director of the USC Institute of Armenian Studies. Welcome to Uprising.
Thank you, Sonali.
Thanks so much for joining us. Well, April 24th is the actual date that is used to mark the anniversary of the genocide. But that actual date, 100 years ago, marks a very important moment. What happened on April 24th specifically?
April 24th is the day that we mark because that's the day that the Turkish government decided to begin by removing the heads, the leadership of the communities, and not just in the Anatolian cities to the east, on the eastern part of Turkey, but in Istanbul itself. And so that marked the beginning of a clear, intentional effort to do away with this population. And I do think that word, the intent, is the key in this, just as your previous guest, Nabil, just talked about.
So the artists and the intellectuals and the leaders?
Absolutely, because they were out to solve a problem. And I think this, at this time in history, 100 years later, today, with everything that's happening in the Middle East, it's really important to talk about what this was not. It was not an Islamic campaign against Christian Armenians. It was not simply a racist effort to do away with a people. They were out to solve a political problem. The political problem was that the Ottoman Empire had collapsed. The Balkans, they had lost over the last several decades. To the east, T. Lawrence and the Arab revolts, they were really worried about losing the east as well. And here within the mainland was this population calling for reforms, civic reforms. And the Western powers, the allies, for their own reasons, were backing this. And so Turkey thought, here is a way to do away with a political, a demographic problem. Let's just do away with these people. Everywhere where they are majorities, we will turn them into minorities. And today, we're still living the results of that. The part of this that's really hard for somebody like me, I live in LA, I work at a wonderful university. Why does this still matter, right? Yeah. It matters because of several things. One is that today in Turkey, there is an Armenian community of 50 to 80,000, and beyond that, there are about 2 million Turks of Armenian origin. The grandmothers are dying, and on their deathbeds, they're saying, those crazy pastries I used to make in the spring, those are Easter pastries that Armenians made that I remember from my mother. And so all of these hidden Islamized Armenians now, at the end of their lives, are remembering who they are. And so their children and grandchildren have this amazing dilemma. Are they now part of these traitor Armenians? Do they acknowledge who they are? So there's that population,
sort of
which we
an
often...
existential identity crisis.
It's a terrible identity crisis. So there's that whole faction that we forget. The Republic of Armenia borders the Republic of Turkey. Of course, yeah. And it is a matter of serious national security to live next to a country, a government, a regime, that is not willing to acknowledge a political crime.